probably put my glasses on. What's up, everyone that's watching? And hi, King. I'm finishing up the chains I started the other day, working on getting the depth gauges right. I never got to finish them. Unfortunately, I got a lot of other stuff that I got kind of busy with. I've got a backpack blower that's torn apart, and another one that's got a different issue. So I've been kind of busy in my off time, so I could never finish these chains. If you got any questions related to chainsaw stuff, just feel free to ask. I just started the stream tonight, so I don't have my laptop up. I can't really look at what's going on in chat without looking over it. This is a 114 drive link chain for a 36-inch bar. So there's a lot of teeth on here. This should be on my last one. Yep. That one's finally good to go. And I always check these before I do anything and run them through here, because sometimes they're still good and other times they're way off, so I gotta actually get them set right so you don't dig too much into the wood. And that one's close but not quite. Literally just needs a hair taken off of it. Is it easy to use a chainsaw? No, I would say it's not, unless you get a little bit of practice. Depends on what you're doing. Felling trees can be extremely dangerous. That's why anything in the lumbering industry, whether you're an arborist or actually felling trees out west for the lumbering industry, it's the #1 fatal accident occupation in the country, and that's exactly why it's extremely dangerous. But if you're just cutting firewood and stuff, I know there's a few channels on here that's all they do. That's relatively easy. You don't have to worry about like widowmakers or just other dead branches and trees or things not going the right direction and so on. But overall, the use of a chainsaw isn't that hard. But for the other guy that asked what's going on, I'm taking down depth gauges on chainsaw chains. So there's these little things called rakers in front of the cutting head, and they guide the chain in through the cut, and depending on how high they are and low they are is how deep the chain actually sets down cutting material away. So you want to have them set based off of a gauge. It's 25 thousandths of an inch off of the top of the cutting heads, and making sure that it's within that area is pretty important, because if it's too far down, you run the risk of it actually, or you're grabbing too much material, pulling the saw out of your hands, or if it's too high, you're just cutting powder and you're kind of wasting time while you're trying to cut. But I prefer my depth gauges a little low. I'm also used to it, but right now I'm sharpening chains for a company, so I have to do everything right by the gauge. It's not what I like, it's what they need. That's just my personal preference. I like to cut a lot of material, plus I have my MS460 it has a big bore kit, it's ported, it's got all kinds of stuff. It's got the torque to pull through anything. It's great for felling big stuff. Right now I only have a 24-inch bar on it, but that thing can handle a 32-inch bar and be fine. I've also got a 660 and an 880 on the table behind the camera. There's a 462. I've got two 200Ts under the table. A bunch of other chainsaws, but I've got another 660 in the garage behind me. But thanks for asking questions. It's actually kind of nice to see a little bit of engagement going on in the chat. Normally, it gets pretty quiet in here, and it's just me staring at a camera or sharpening. All right, this guy's good to go. Got a mess all over the floor, parts all over the place. I gotta separate some of this stuff. Like, the chains that I'm sharpening here are various different sizes. Anything from the 114 drive length down to the 50 drive length chains for top handle climbing saws. This one looks like somebody already took these depth gauges down before I got it, and yeah, they're probably 1/8 of an inch lower than they even should be. It's beyond where even the line is that they should be taken. They're almost completely gone. Somebody got a little ham with a file. So I can't do anything to that. running that chain on a saw would just be a little bit of a rough ride. It's going to be jerking the saw all the time whenever you're trying to cut. That's a little high. See where I'm at. That should be good. So this is an Oregon 620-120. It's their higher end grinder for chain sharpening. If you're ever looking into getting into chain sharpening, it's definitely one that I would recommend. It has a hydraulic clamping system in here, so every time you pull down the grinding head, it has hydraulic fluid and it puts pressure in here to clamp down on the chain and hold it in place. That way you're not, I know there's some of the other models and other companies make them where you turn a thing to clamp it down, and it kind of cuts into the time that you're doing. Because, I mean, with any chain, like a full comp chain, there's half as many cutting heads as there are drive links. So if it's 114 drive link chain, you've got 57 cutting heads that you're sharpening, and then you've got to go around for the depth gauges, and that's another 57. So you're basically hitting it 114 times with a cutting head, and loosening it and tightening it 114 times for one chain. It eats up a lot of time. Here I can just pull the cutting head down, hit it, because it's already set at the depth I need for every single one. So I can just kind of go around quick and hit each of these cutting heads. They do make some automated ones that make this process a lot faster, but the cheapest one is $2,500, whereas this is, I think, it was $600. Yeah, $600 versus $2,500 is definitely, I would rather buy this. Especially because even with the automated ones, you still have to check every single chain, and you have to take them out, put them back in, and it's not really saving you that much time. You got, sure, a couple of seconds where you're not keeping an eye on it and you can do something else, but you don't have enough time that you can actually do anything else that's productive. I mean, you're going to burn through a chain in a couple of seconds. You can't get elbow deep in another project unless you had like 30 sharpeners going at the same time, and then you're just swapping out chains. But I don't know a single chainsaw shop that has that many chains come in the door that they can actually make that a reality. That's just unrealistic. So the automatic sharpeners are kind of a waste of money in my eyes. It's good. But sunglasses, like safety glasses. I'm wearing safety glasses. I used to not, but one of the chatters in a previous one definitely recommended it, even though all the material does go away for me. It's just the best idea to wear it, especially in a public space like this where multiple people see it. And really got to be OSHA compliant. One safety thing that you never wear around a grinder like this is gloves, though. Any kind of cutting head or wheel or grinding head, you never want to have gloves on. It's kind of like using a drill with a glove, and you get it caught up and it'll just wrap it up on your hand. It's a great way to lose a finger. No loose article of clothing around something spinning very fast. But one of the... You have gay lips. Yeah. Well, thanks, man. One of the things you kind of got to do if you're ever sharpening or doing anything with chains is you clean them first. And one of the things that I do is I stick it in a nearly boiling hot water bath with soapy water, and it takes all the burned on lignin from the chains and oil and everything off of it. That way when I'm sharpening, it reduces the amount of wear that goes into the cutting head, so they kind of last a little bit longer. Plus, when you're turning them in as a, hey, I serviced your chains, it looks like you actually did something. Get a little bit more of satisfaction out of it, where they feel like you actually did something and not just, oh, hey, I sharpened your chain, that's $8. It's been 45 seconds. Here you go. Plus it does help them run a little bit better. When they're running through a bar, they need bar oil, and if there's too much burned on lignin and dirt and grime and everything else, it doesn't carry that oil through the bar properly from where the oil pump is. I have an issue with my 660 that's on the table behind the camera. That one's gonna need a new oil pump because it's not oiling at all. Nice, the last chat message is just the guy saying I got gay lips. He must think I got pretty lips. Like fucking Deliverance in here. Alright. I don't have many chains today. Only a couple. And I might move on and talk about that blower. That thing's a nightmare. This is very close. Let's see where I'm at. That's right on. It shouldn't take long. There were a few forums that I was a part of where guys talk about the best way to sharpen chains and clean chains prior to sharpening, and a lot of them have recommended some pretty goofy stuff that's not safe. I've even seen some YouTube videos where guys will take like Ziploc baggies or mason jars and they'll stick the chain in it in gasoline in an ultrasonic cleaner to try and clean it. Inherently it's not safe because you're dealing with hot gas and gas vapors and everything else, so it's not really a good idea. It's not going to explode, but it also doesn't get the chains as clean as even just Dawn dish soap and hot soapy water. The only downside of that is you have to oil the chains immediately after you clean them. I've seen some other people recommend using a wire wheel, which is really fucking stupid and dangerous to use a wire wheel. Chain is a loose object, and getting it anywhere near a wire wheel, if it gets caught in a drive length or a cutting head or anything, it's going to take that chain and start whipping it around as fast as that wire wheel is going. Whether it's a benchtop one or something that's going like 1800 RPM, that chain is going to be moving something like 200 mile an hour, and your hands are going to be right in front of it. That is a awesome way to lose some fingers or end up in the hospital because some guy on the internet recommends something stupid to do. I got in a couple arguments about that actually, where guys swear that's the best way to do it, and they've been doing it that way for 30 years and never got hurt. But just because you've been doing something for 30 years doesn't mean you've been doing it right. It means you've just gotten lucky for 30 years. That kind of goes for any industry where guys just rely on the fact they've done something for so long and they're not even open to the idea that a different way is better or safer. Some guys just don't care if it's safe or not. I just prefer my fingers. I've already had accidents with grinders. I've had 3 different accidents with grinders. Not this specific one. I had a benchtop grinder. I ended up cutting all the way down into a tendon on my finger with it. I've cut into my elbow with the thing, and then about a year and a half ago, I had a piece get stuck in a wire wheel, and it yanked it out of my hands, and I nearly lost one of my fingers. I cut a nerve and bled all over the place. Had a really bad time. So you got to respect grinders of any kind. I've definitely had my fair share of incidents. This chain is actually good according to the depth gauge. Yeah, with my history of accidents, wouldn't be surprised if any of the people that view this channel are trying to view it like NASCAR, just watching a live stream hoping that I do something stupid. Onto the smaller chains. See where we're at. A little high. I've got to change where this is. That's much more better. So these are all 50 drive length chains. They would go in a 14-inch bar for like our company. It'll only be MS 201Ts that we'll put a 14-inch bar on. A couple of guys there have the Echo 2511s. I think one of them has a 14-inch bar on it, but everyone else is running 12-inch bars. Just keeping them smaller. more lightweight, easier to get around in the trees with. I've climbed with a 2511 and they are nice. It's the lightest climbing chainsaw, and it doesn't even feel like you're carrying anything. It's like having a water bottle on your hip versus where the 201 is. It's heavy. It definitely, you know it's there when you're carrying a 201. I mean, it's not as heavy as like carrying something bigger. I've carried, biggest saw I've had up in a tree was the 660. I mean, they only make one saw that's any bigger than that, so yeah, it'd be a rare occasion you'd ever have an 880 or an 881 up in a tree, like one of the redwoods or something like that. If you're cutting one of those, but that's rare. Even in a case like that, you'd just fell the tree. Yeah, climbing with a 660. The only times I've ever done that is with crane work. Like the little profile picture thing I have on my page, where it's next to my name and it looks like a little stick. That's me on the top of a crane. I think that's a 55-ton crane. I saw a picture in a Facebook page earlier. It was a guy in Germany on a crane removing a very large tree, and of course everyone in the comments is like, why don't you just fell it? Like, that's not always an option with every tree. You can't just drop the tree. There are times where you need to be very careful with material that's under the trees, whether it's a road. You can't damage roads, somebody's driveway, a house, a garage, anything that's under a tree. Or there are times where, like, I've removed trees with cranes where you have no access any other way than getting a crane over it, picking it up, lifting it up over power lines and over houses and everything else, because, well, you can't just fell it. That's not an option. You would cause so much property damage with equipment going in that way, or there are times where there's homes just in the way and there's no space to get equipment or even the wood out, so you gotta pick it up with a crane and lift it over a house. Crane work's kind of exciting. It's not an everyday thing that you have a crane on a job, but it's fun. Kind of envy some of the guys that get to do helicopter work, where they're lifting trees with helicopters. It's essentially the same as doing crane work, but the biggest thing you'd have to do with a helicopter is go out in advance, use a green log weight chart for the weight of wood, and paint off where each pick was going to be, because using a helicopter is so incredibly expensive. You would want to keep it on site as little time as possible. So you want to have all your picks marked out. You also don't ever want to overload a helicopter because you can crash it. That would be very, very bad. So you'd have to go out in advance and really plan out something, more so than you'd ever have to do with a crane. Kind of want to see what Gay Lips Guy's channel's like. Go to channel. Gollum the dog. Oh, he's got lips in his description. That's cool. Oh man, my back hurts. God. So earlier, it was clearing snow. We got about 5 inches of snow where I'm at, and I'm pretty sore. My back hurts, my side hurts. Everything kind of hurts now. Perks of getting old, everything starts to hurt. Shouldn't be much longer with these chains. I've only got 3 more over there. Then I can talk about that piece of shit blower. That's weird. Random extra. So there's a random extra safety link in here that I'm going to miss in the future if I don't get rid of it. Which acts as a depth gauge that doesn't have a cutting head, so or anything associated with it. So if I don't take that down now, in the future, when I sharpen this again, I won't hit that, and it'll cause problems. Now I'm going to get back to where I was. There. Make sure this is good. Anyone else got any saw related questions? If you've ever want to see anything more chainsaw related, or I also have a fairly large gun collection. I collect World War II stuff, so I'll be starting to upload long form videos. Probably not so much related to chainsaws, more of history stuff, whether it's World War I weapons, World War II weapons. Since I collect them, I might as well do something with them other than just kind of look at them, share some information and whatnot. Let's see, where's that extra drive link? Nonsense. There it is. All right. That one's done. I end up sharpening. Lately, it's anywhere from 30 to 50 chains a month. So I kind of keep busy with this. That one's good. good. Alright, check this guy out. It's always nice when the chain is actually, the depth gauges are already set. I don't have to grind them. It saves me a little bit of time. That is good. What time is it? Already 9 o'clock. I started this stream a little late today. Normally I start around 7 o'clock. I've kind of been on every other day, except I've missed a few here and there. But if you subscribe, you can see when I go live or post a long form video. And plus, I'm looking to try and get to the 500 subscriber mark. This channel used to be monetized quite a few years ago, and I would like to get back to that point. I haven't been monetized now in a minute. I used to upload videos like 13 years ago, I think was the last time I uploaded a video. And it's kind of fun, and then I neglected this channel ever since. I got busy with life and forgot about it. So if anyone would like to subscribe, that would always help. Alright. See, I got one last one. This is actually a 1/4-inch drive chain for a different kind of bar than anyone else in our shop uses. This is for a Panther bar. It's the same kind of bar that would go on like one of the Ripsaw 2511s. Kind of special little thing. Yeah, I don't only know one guy that has one, and I actually built that saw for him. I work with him. He just had to have a Panther bar. Like I'll even, I do plastic dyeing too, and all kinds of different work with saws. Okay. I work as an arborist, but I also do small engine stuff as a side job and a hobby, that just something to keep me busy. A little entertaining. Is there anyone out there that's watching? Riddle me this. If you know the answer, please say. But always in the beginning of a video, it's always like the first 15 minutes or so, I get some engagement, like using the chat, but then like after 20 minutes or so, nobody says a word in chat. But there's still viewers, so I don't really understand what goes on with that. Is it something I'm doing? Or is it just everyone's quiet at a certain point? I really don't know. Some engagement would be nice, but not everyone has to talk. It's nice to have kind of had the first troll on here. Of course, he didn't get his response that he wanted, I'm sure. Alright. That is all done. So, let's see if I can move some stuff. Some fuel that leaked out. Gasoline that leaked out of this thing. Just smells like gas now. So this blower that I've got over here, that thing, can't really set up any closer. But this blower is a nightmare. So the VR800 blowers have a lot of different issues, but this one is not related to build quality. Being a two-stroke, well, this is a 4-mix, but it's still two-stroke. You need to mix oil in with your fuel, and if you don't, it doesn't properly lubricate inside of the engine. And this is one that did not get lubricated properly. The piston is scored all the way around. I actually did a live stream while I was taking it apart a couple days ago and deleted the video because I got kind of mad at the thing while I was working on it. Yeah, it's bad. It's not good. So I've got a piston coming for this, new rings, new seals, new everything, and gonna try and redo it and see if I can get it to run again. As of right now, this thing is not running at all. I mean, it has no compression, has about every issue you can possibly think of related to the fact that the motor is just cooked. It wasn't even, I don't think it was the crew who was running its fault. The way a lot of companies do it, you'll have cans of fuel on every truck that goes out, and just any random person will mix it. And sometimes with a 2-gallon tank, they'll forget that you need 2 of the 1-gallon mixes per tank, and I think they just only put 1 in, and that's what happened to it. But right now, I stole a piece off of it to put it in that other blower that's behind it. Is that the ignition coil? I'm pretty sure it was the ignition coil is bad. I've done everything to that blower. It'll run for a couple of minutes, but then once it starts getting warmed up, the power bogs out and then it'll shut off. And it's, at first I thought it was the carburetor. I've replaced the carburetor with 2 different ones. It's not the carb. I've replaced the spark plugs. I've checked the gaps in the valves here. They're fine. I've checked everything, even all the wiring. The ground is good. Everything's good. And the only thing I didn't do was actually change out the ignition coil. And that was probably the first thing I should have done, as I've got it laying over here. Of course, dropped a piece of it. It's this is most likely the issue, was the ignition coil from it, as it's all rusted, even on the underside where it actually goes down to the flywheel. Everything about this isn't right, and I believe this is the issue. We're going to be running it tomorrow to check and make sure. It's kind of a little late at night, and I don't want to do that. So Jeremy, yes, you are correct. There is a difference between a 2-stroke and a 4-stroke, but in a leaf blower, in a backpack blower, or a lot of engines like this, it is still a 2-stroke engine, but this is 4-mix, not 2-stroke. It's got different cylinders. It is not a 4-stroke engine. This still takes fuel mix. It's still a 2-stroke engine, but the way the blower, it's not a 4-cycle engine. I mean, it's 4-mix. It functions like a 4-cycle, but it's still 2-stroke. But yeah, I know what you're saying, but yeah, I took a small engine class in school, but you'll never learn about that in a high school class about small engines, the different types of 2-stroke engines. I mean, you probably took apart a little Briggs & Stratton lawnmower engine from a push mower that's a little bit different. Definitely a little bit different. Push mower engines are not the same. Yeah, this is different for sure. But BR800 blowers themselves have all kinds of different issues, whether it's the muffler rattling off and starting issues. This is a common issue with the other blower, where it's either the carb came bad or the ignition coil came bad. Hopefully it works. I mean, that backpack blower was made in May, so it shouldn't be having issues, but it did the moment it came, where there was always issues trying to start it. Hopefully Jeremy was still here when he heard my rant about 2-stroke and 4-stroke, otherwise he's still thinking he knows what he's talking about, but at least he said something. Yeah, this is a wonderful thing. But the BR800 blowers, when they do work, are great. They're better than a lot of the other steel blowers, whether it's the 600 series or the 400 series blowers. They're really underpowered. I've worked with one of the 600s and the 400s, and they're not that great. So I don't really have much else to do tonight. Yeah, this blower has to get completely taken apart again. Love it. So excited. But I'm probably going to end this stream a little bit early tonight. That way I can just go in and get ready for bed, because I got to get up and actually go do tree work. So have a good night, everyone.